In this tutorial we will show you how to make this chain link model in Blender 2.8. For shortcuts used in this tutorial, please refer to the description and/or the shortcut display in the lower right of the screen. Let's begin. First, we need to create a primitive cube mesh. Do this by using the Shift+A. This opens the Add menu. Now navigate to Mesh and find the cube under the dropdown. We are going to create a hole in the cube by using Inset Faces and Bridge Edge Loops. Press 3 to switch selection mode to face and select these two faces using Shift plus left click. Once both faces are selected, press I to inset faces and move mouse inward till you have the desired dimension. While still having faces selected, press X and select faces from the drop-down to delete them. After we have our hole, we will select the edge loop surrounding both holes by using Alt plus left click on the first selection and Shift plus Alt plus left click to select the second loop. While having both loops selected, you can now right click and navigate to Bridge Edge Loops. We will now work on making this primitive shape look more like a single chain link. While your object is selected, press the Tab key to enter edit mode. I will be briefly working with symmetry on the X, Y, and Z axis. I shaped my mesh to be more rectangular, and now I am going to add a subdivision modifier. This can be found on the right of the viewport in Modifier Properties, a blue wrench icon. Select the Add Modifier drop-down, and find Subdivision Surface. Now we shall add edge loops to our mesh, so that we have more vertices to shape it into a chain link. Pressing Ctrl plus R allow you to add edge loops. Before placing these edge loops, use the scroll wheel to increase loop cuts to 2, and click to place them as I do. We can straighten our edge loops by scaling on one axis. In this case, I would like to straighten my loops using the Y-axis. Press S while a loop is selected and Y to constraint scale to Y-axis. Now press 0. I am now selecting vertices and moving them using G, until mesh closely resembles a chain link. I am happy with this shape and no longer need the symmetry feature. Now I will create a connection point for the link by inserting 2 edge loops and extruding the new faces it creates. To extrude these faces, select them and press E, then right click. Using right click after extruding allows new faces to remain in original position. Now, while having faces still select, let's use Alt plus S to scale in the direction of the face normals. After turning on the subdivision preview, you can see that the connection area we created seems to look too smooth. Let's sharpen this up by inserting a few edge loops to act as holding edges. Finally, we have our single chain link. As you can see, there is a lot of faceting happening. We can smooth the normals of the mesh by having the mesh selected in object mode and right-clicking, then choosing Shade Smooth from the drop-down menu. With this single chain link model, we are now going to use an array modifier to make multiple instances of this object. With the mesh selected, go to the modifier panel and add an array modifier. We are going to use the relative offset feature. In the case of my model and how it is oriented, I will set my Y value to 0.6. Now we have to find a way to rotate the chain links in the array. We can do this by creating an empty object and setting its Y rotation value to 90 degrees. Reselect your chain link mesh and navigate to the modifier panel. Select the Object Offset checkbox and choose the empty object you've just created. Now we can adjust the count of the array to add more instances of our mesh. To control the overall shape of the chains, we can use a curve modifier and a curve object. Well, in object mode, add a Bezier Curve object. Reselect your chain link object and navigate to the modifier panel to add a curve modifier. Now under the object dropdown, add the Bezier curve you've just created. Seems like the curve modifier is not working as expected. This problem occurs because the curve modifier is being told to deform along the incorrect axis. I've temporarily disabled the array modifier to explain this problem better. As you can see, my object's long side is aligned along the y-axis, green line. But currently, the curve modifier is trying to deform it along the x-axis, red line. I will navigate to my curve modifier and change deformation axis to y. Now that the curve modifier and array is all working in unison, we can fully control the shape and length of the chain. I will now edit the Bezier curve we created. Select the curve and enter edit mode by pressing tab. I subdivided the curve by selecting all points using the A key, and then right-click to open the drop-down menu and selecting Subdivide. This adds more points for me to shape the Bezier curve. Now that the setup is complete, I will continue to edit the curve by extruding and moving points until I have a shape I'm happy with. We can also go back to the array modifier to add more instances to the chain. Thanks for watching this tutorial. If this has helped you, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future tutorials.